Hi and welcome back to the channel. So today we're in a seed crop of Kabuki Marifat peas. We're down in Essex. Good day, we've had a bit of rain overnight. The crop is looking fantastic. And what we're going to focus on today is looking at establishment rates. So looking at what is a good plant population for peas. It's a question that we get asked quite a lot. Generally looking at some considerations through the establishment phase of the crop too, and then we're just going to get into sort of the main growth stage before flowering now too. So we've got a pea expert with Keith Costello. You can't see because he's on the camera at the minute. We're going to swap and Keith's going to run you through some of the basics of the crop now.
Hi everyone, it's a year since I was last in the field at this sort of stage. In fact, the way the crops have been growing this year, they're far more forward than last year. Last year I was doing crop inspections on the 25th of May and they were at the 5th node, and this year it's the 19th of May and they're on the 9th node, and that just shows there was drilled similar sort of times, but this year, because of the warmer weather we've been experiencing and the lack of rain, although I must admit last night fantastic, we've had the storm go through. We had on this farm we had 7 mil last night and then another mill this morning. It's a refreshing rain for these crops which were in need, although we're on some heavier soil here in Essex, and I must admit there's plenty of moisture underneath, and as you can see around, it's a very even crop of peas. And today at the moment I'm doing an official crop inspection of these, so I'm taking plant counts, and on plant counts I think as part of my 5 key stages, which if you remember is planning, is basically cultivation, sowing, agronomy, harvest and storage, and markets. This is very important to do the plant counts, and anyone, not just on seed crops but on commercial crops, should be looking at their populations, because when you aim for a target population, and let's say on Marifat you're aiming at 65-70 plants, then the seed you sow, it's good to know that, you know, given a field factor loss you may have built into the calculation, how many seeds, how many plants you are actually getting established based on what you put on what you sow. Okay, we'll do the plant counts now. So on this meter of row we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. That's 11 divided by the row width, which is 15 centimeters, which is approximately 740,000 plants per hectare, so 74 plants per meter squared. So that is not far out. I mean, we're looking around about 65-70. But I've been looking at crops all of yesterday and I was averaging around about 68. So on this farm, you know, we were out where we aim to be. So that's but it's important on your farms to do the same exercise, because at least then you know that the number of seeds you're planting and how many plants you're actually establishing at the end. As I say, one of the key areas, good establishment of a crop. What you can see here, and we're on some heavy soils, but again, you know, for heavy soil, it just shows if you manage the structure and take care, because peas, the thing about peas is it's very sensitive to its environment. You know, the planning of a pea crop really starts today for 2023, not 2022. So the fields what you're going to be planning to put peas in next year, you should give a lot of consideration to minimize the trafficking, because one thing peas do not like is compaction. So if you think about the fields you're going to use in 2023 and start thinking about how you're going to get that structure, so by the time you come to sowing in 2023, you've got a nice friable seed bed without having to do too many cultivations or any cultivations to sow the seed into. Establishment is so important. Get a good established crop, good root systems, well nodulated, and I can just show you on the plant I have here. So here we've got a plant, as I say, the plant's on 9th node. As you look at the crop there, you can count the number, and we're on to the 9th. It will start to flower on the 11th and 12th. Already the florets are just hidden in these leaves, so you can see how advanced this crop is. If we look down here at the fibrous root system, it goes very deep into the soil, and you can probably see the nodules on there. Very healthy plants. So again, but it's so important you start planning well ahead. Okay, so that was the plant counts, little explanation about, you know, establishment. But say again for growers, probably on sort of heavier soil types, again, if you don't let it restrict you from thinking of considering to grow peas, because if you get the structure right, you know, the peas will grow there and quite successfully. You can see here on this land, it's heavy, I mean, but you can see how friable it is inside of there. you can see how well I can push down into it. But if I get hold of some of this now and squeeze it, you can see again, it will go together. It's quite strong, but equally it breaks away. And the little root systems, which I say are quite lazy, will actually work their way into the soil, tap themselves into that moisture, and as I say, but it's all about preparation. It's that planning early on, and then your cultivations, which really make the difference in producing a very, very good crop. This has got a great start. It's a very clean crop. You can see there's no weeds. It's already had its pre and post stem herbicides on there. And from the point of view of agronomy now, crop protection, very little disease in there. We are now starting to see aphid, and I don't know if I can find any here now, but if you give the crops a really good knock and look down on the soil, yeah, we have one here. So aphid out here, but very, very low numbers. When it comes to flowering, that's probably when you'll see the higher populations, and that's the time to consider controlling them. So up to now, I say this crop has been well looked after. It's clean. We've now seen that there are aphid just starting to appear in the crop, and soon we'll be into flowering. And so it is important to remember that the one pest which can create a problem for you, not just the aphid as we go into flowering, but also is pea moth. Pea moth, you can actually monitor pea moth quite successfully using pheromone traps. The good thing about that is that if you have what they class as a threshold, by trapping them, you can get the timing when you put your pesticide onto control accurate to get maximum from that. Or in some cases you may not trap enough to warrant spraying. So for what it costs, it's worthwhile putting into your crops and monitoring the pea moth to get sort of your timings correct or not spray at all. And the other side of it is from your customer's point of view, they don't want eaten peas, and you'll find that on some contracts there's maybe a tolerance, but if you've got higher than that tolerance, your crop could be rejected. And for what it costs for these pheromone traps, it's certainly worth putting one into your field. And that really is at this stage now where we are, that's right time to be doing that. Thank you for coming and joining me in the field today into my world of peas. It's the place I'm the most happiest at, trying to help everyone, trying to pass on my experience. I want everyone to be successful in growing their pulse crops, especially my favourite crop, which is the pea crop. And I look forward to us continue our videos one little later on when we come into flowering. But once again, James, thanks for coming and joining me today.